So yeah, what did you like about this, and what would you change?
Well, I like the fact that it was in Hawaii. I got to come back and meet a lot of the folks here that work in this area, especially the native people. And I learned a lot talking to some of them about what they've been doing here, so I can take it back home and use some of that. What I didn't like was that it wasn't as diverse as it could have been. There weren't as many women in speaker positions on the panels, and even in general in the population. There weren't as many people of color involved. It was more U.S. centric. There could have been more people from around the world, and even the local community people weren't invited, or I didn't see as many as there should have been, because we're talking about solutions for Hawaii, and they aren't even here to listen to them and to address their concerns with what kind of solutions are being brought up. Yeah.
You were talking yesterday about we have to know where energy comes from.
Yes.
And you were talking about uranium.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
So a lot of the energy, fossil fuel energy, comes from the lands of indigenous folks, of native people, of people from low income communities, and that's something that's hidden behind curtains. So in terms of nuclear energy, uranium has to be mined, and in the 70s it was mined on the Navajo reservation with huge consequences, huge amounts of cancers on the miners' part, taking that radon back home and infecting their homes. And then as far as coal mining, that's also on a Navajo reservation, as well as other reservations, where the cultural value of the coal and of the uranium and all the resources that are in the ground are not taken into account when it's produced, when electricity is produced for other folks in the greater U.S.
What are your favorite solutions in terms of renewable energy?
My favorite solutions, since I'm from Arizona, would be solar panels and probably wind turbines. And also just greater education for a lot of the people in the community, because we don't know all the solutions. All these people talking about different solutions has to be broken down and simplified for the people that I work with.
What group are you involved with?
I work with Black Mesa Water Coalition, a nonprofit organization working with water and energy issues on the Navajo and Hopi reservation.
And how did you get involved?
I actually, Black Mesa Water Coalition, BMWC for short, had their very first youth summit near the coal mine, and I went just to see my brother, and in the process learned all about environmental justice, injustices, and as a result went back to school and changed my major, and now I'm here.
What is your major now?
I got a degree in environmental science with a policy focus.
Okay. So where do you see yourself going with this?
Right now I'm using that degree to run the Campus Climate Challenge on tribal lands in the Southwest. Going to schools, educating, doing presentations on global warming, climate change, especially, and linking it to Native folks in the Southwest. So we depend a lot on the water to grow crops, and for the water, rain, to provide food for our plants, which we depend on culturally for medicine, for ceremonies, and such. Linking that to the students in those communities and trying to get them encouraging them and empowering them to organize on their campuses to bring down their energy use and their fossil fuel use. Yeah.
Great. So you are the one representative from Australia here.
Yes.
Yourself.
I'm from the world's biggest coal export port in Newcastle, New South Wales, and that is at the mouth of a valley that produces a lot of Australia's coal, which is used domestically but also exported to Japan and China and Thailand and other countries.
And to Hawaii. We get coal from Australia. I'm not sure if it's from there.
Okay, it probably is exported from my town. And how did I get involved? I've been involved in environmental justice organising since I was in high school. I think coming from a coal mining area, you can't really not be aware of the issues and the health impacts as well. But then I started learning about the more global impacts of climate change and the fact that my town is actually exporting climate chaos to the rest of the world through our exports, which is a horrible responsibility to have to go to the beach and you're trying to have fun with your friends and you see all these coal ships on the horizon, 30 to 40 coal ships every day, waiting to export our coal to cause climate change to the rest of the world. So that was why I got concerned about it, and I founded an organisation called the Australian Youth Climate Coalition, and we are a coalition of 22 youth organisations. Most of them aren't environmental organisations, but they're incorporating climate change into what they already do with young people.
And do you have a degree in environmental stuff, or?
No, I have I have a double degree in liberal arts and law. So in arts I majored in Asian studies because I think Asia is a really important, obviously to Australia it's a really important area to be engaged with, particularly on climate issues. And I was also studying Southeast Asian social movements because it's really inspiring to see how, for example, Indonesian students overthrew a dictator in 1997-98. So I think we have a lot to learn from social movements in Asia. And then my other degree, law, I did environmental and human rights law.
So do you see yourself as becoming a lawyer?
Not at the moment. I don't want to focus on the little incremental one court case at a time because we need much bigger picture thinking and to look at the whole thing as a system, a legal system, economic system, cultural system, political system. So I'm trying with this movement building through the youth movement to look at all of those areas, not just focus on one little bit.
And what would you replace coal with?
As we heard at this conference, energy efficiency is the first place to start. But I also think the question is not just what will we replace coal with, because we have to look at actually fundamentally changing our energy system. So redesigning our cities and our economy so we don't need to use as much energy to start with. And then in terms of meeting our energy needs in other ways, all of the new technologies that we heard about, well, they're not new actually, they've been around for a while, wind and solar and geothermal, and Australia has huge potential for that.
What would you do different at next year's conference if you were organizing it?
If I were organizing, I have been in another kind of conference I really like when you create small tables to talk person to person. I don't like when you are in the audience just listening to people talking, taking notes. I think that's not really useful when you are with a lot of experts who knows about their topics that could interact with each other in table works. I think that would be one of the things I would suggest. And if I were organizing something like this, I think that I could work in different workshops and use more the interaction between people.